What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and today I'm going to be giving my breakdown and prediction for this weekend's very stacked card, UFC 299. Really looking forward to this weekend. It's stacked from the prelims all the way to the main card, so I'm going to talk about all these fights. And with me today, I got a guest speaker by the name of Boar's World. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, bro.
So let's start with the first fight of the prelims. So I'm going to start with Pedro Munhoz versus Kyler Phillips. I'm going to kick off this one. At first, I wasn't sure who I would have winning this fight, but then I watched some Kyler Phillips fight, and the one fight, or some fights of Kyler Phillips, and the one fight of his that really stood out to me and impressed me was his performance against Song Yadong. And I think Song Yadong, I think that's a way better opponent than Pedro Munhoz. And the way he beat him, the way he was able to piece him up, pick him apart, and finesse him. If he could do that to a guy like Song, I think he'd have no problem doing that to a guy like Pedro Munhoz. There's a very clear path to victory to beating a guy like Pedro because Pedro is very slow, stuck in the mud. All he really does is calf kick and throw overhands. But if you have good footwork, good length, and you got good distance management and good, volume as well, you should be able to beat a guy like Munhoz. So I think Kyler Phillips is going to follow a similar game plan that Aljamain Sterling did, Dominic Cruz did, and many other guys who beat Pedro. So I'm going to go with Kyler Phillips to win this fight via unanimous decision. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I got Phillips. I think the reach for him will be a difference. 8-inch reach, and yeah, like you said, his fight versus Song, you know, impressive. So I got him. I got decision as well.
Yep. And now moving up the card, we got Mateusz Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. I'm going to hand it over to you. Who do you have winning this fight?
I got Gamrot by decision. I think Gamrot's gonna push RDA up against the cage. He's gonna frustrate him. He's gonna tire him out. And I got Gamrot by decision. That's my prediction.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to go with Mateusz Gamrot. I just think that his wrestling and pressure is going to be too much. I think RDA is a very easy guy to press up against the cage. And he always does bad against really high level wrestlers, like when he fought Khabib. Although I don't know if I could put too much stock into that because that's Khabib who does it to everybody. But still, look at him against Usman and Colby Covington. And speaking of Colby, I think that Gamrot's going to have a very similar performance that Colby did. A lot of pressure, a lot of volume, a lot of cage control. And yeah, I just don't see RDA being able to stop him. And RDA is how old is he? He's I think he's 39 years old. So he's on the older side. Gamrot's got the youth. So I think RDA might be deteriorating. And I didn't like his last performance against Luque. He was getting out wrestled by a striker. So yeah, I think Gamrot should have no problem in this one. But now moving on to the next fight, Katlyn Chookagian versus Maycee Barber. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to go with Maycee Barber to win this fight simply because I just think at this point in their careers, Barber is the better fighter. She's the more dangerous fighter who inflicts more damage in her fights. Katlyn Chookagian looks to point fight, but I just don't see her style being effective on someone like Maycee. She doesn't have the threat of being able to hurt her on the feet. She's got okay wrestling, but Barber, I think, has better wrestling. I think that's a very underrated aspect of her game. I think she can defend takedowns from Chookagian. I know Katlyn Chookagian does have the height and the reach and the movement, but I think Maycee Barber, if she's just pressures her enough, if she doesn't sit on the outside, I don't think she'll have much of an issue getting in close, landing, and I think Barber will use a lot of wrestling and clinching to get inside to do damage and just control Katlyn against the cage and rough her up in tight, in close, like with elbows, and maybe even get her to the ground and maybe get a ground and pound finish or a clear decision. I also think Katlyn Chookagian kind of, isn't the same anymore. I think her best days are kind of behind her. And mentally, I don't know where she's at right now because, she said that during her layoff, she had, had to go through a lot of back-to-back miscarriages, and she's coming back, just to kind of cope with that. So if you're fighting for those reasons, should you really be fighting, especially against someone as dangerous as Maycee? So yeah, I think Maycee's going to win this fight. I just think that it's her time. And, they don't call her the future for no reason. I do think that she does have a bright future in the flyweight division. And I think Katlyn Chookagian, she's the past. So I think she loses this fight. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Barber's gonna win. I think Barber's just more aggressive, a tougher fighter. I think she's more powerful too. I mean, who does Caitlyn finish? Nobody.
Exactly.
When's the last time Caitlyn finished somebody? You know,
Right?
Barber's last fight, she whooped Rebus. She whooped her. So
Yep.
I got Barber by KO round two or round one. I think she's gonna go out there. She's gonna put a beating on Caitlyn.
Yep. Me too. And how about Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blaydes? This is a tough one, but who do you have winning
This
this
is
fight?
a very tough one. It's a toss up, bro. It's a
Yep.
toss up because it's either Blaydes is just gonna go out there. He's gonna knock Almeida out, I think, or Almeida's gonna like drag Blaydes down and sub him or TKO him on the ground.
Yeah.
So I think though Almeida, I feel like he's more strong, like stronger, physically stronger when it comes to grappling, but the striking, I feel Blaydes is the advantage.
Yeah, good take. Yeah, this fight's like a coin toss. If you flip a coin, and it can go either way, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and I'm just gonna go with the favorite Jailton Almeida to win this fight, even though it seems like stylistically this fight is kind of in Blaydes' favor because he has the wrestling background. So you think he should be able to defend takedowns of Jailton and just piece him up on the feet. But like you said, Jailton is very physically strong. And he can just take down anybody at will. And I know he didn't look that impressive in his last fight against Lewis. He couldn't finish him, still took him down as many times as he did. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Jailton to win this fight. I could see it being a scenario where like Blaydes is having like a lot of success in the striking, defending a few takedowns, and then probably like in the third round, Jailton finally gets the fight to the ground and catches Blaydes in like a horrible position, finds a sub, just somewhere in a scramble, something like
These
that. But
guys are so big. I don't even think this is gonna go past one or two rounds. I feel like this is gonna be fireworks. Like I feel
yep.
Almeida and Blaydes, they feel they have to finish each other quickly. Um, I feel if the fight goes later on, it'll benefit Almeida more than Blaydes, though.
Yeah, because Blaydes does kind of slow down. I noticed that
Yeah,
against
Blaydes
Volkov.
slows down, and Almeida, he was fine for 5 rounds.
Yep, for sure. All right, now let's move on to the main card. And kicking off the main card, we got Petr Yan versus Song Yadong. Man, I really want Petr Yan to win this fight, man. He's been one of my favorite fighters for years. I definitely say he's like my favorite bantamweight of like the current generation. Before, my favorites were TJ Dillashaw, Dominic Cruz, but it's this guy, Petr Yan. But he's on such a bad skid. And I feel like that's done something to his confidence. And I just feel like this is the worst possible opponent for him to come back to. Powerhouse like Song Yadong in a 3-round fight. And Song Yadong is a fast starter. I think he's going to go out there, look to start fast. I feel like if this was like 5 rounds, the odds would be better for Yan, but it's a 3-rounder. And yeah, I just also think with Jan's style, the way he fights, he likes to fight in the pocket. He's not like a range fighter, and it's dangerous to fight a guy like Song in close because Song he's got big power, heavy puncher, also a good boxer like Petr Yan. I think to beat a guy like Song, you got to be able to use range and footwork, and you got to be able to keep him away because getting in close is only going to favor him. So because of that, I got to go with Song Yadong. I think his power is going to be a factor. I think in this fight, he'll also take a bit of a page out of Merab's book, you know, and also he might copy some of Aljo's approach from the first fight. Just a lot of pressure, combinations to throw Yan off, not really let Yan get in a rhythm while throwing bigger, more powerful shots and just doing more damage, maybe mixing in takedowns. And I'll say that Yadong wins this fight by a decision just because Petr Yan is a very hard guy to finish. He's got a good chin, very good defense as well. So I think he can do enough to not get finished, but I don't see him doing enough offense to get the win. What do you think, Boards?
I got Yan winning. Um, I watched Corey slice Song Yadong's face up
Mm,
and finish him. So I don't I don't like that for Song. You know, I understand he was doing all right, but Corey was pretty much winning the whole fight. Um, he was doing what he needed to do. Song was they stopped the fight. They just said cut it. You know, Song was bloodied up bad. You know,
yep,
and I think the way Jan fights, he's gonna bust Song up. You know, I think he's gonna go in there. I think he's gonna throw elbows. He's gonna throw knees, and I think he's gonna show vintage Petr performance. And I also think people are forgetting this guy lost to Sterling, O'Malley, and Merab, three
yep,
high elite level fighters. This guy didn't lose to bums. He
exactly.
lost to elite level fighters. I do think Jan is, you know, he's not as young as he once was. Um, so, you know, he's got to show something because fans are getting tired of him losing. You know, people are getting tired of him losing. So he needs to win this fight, redeem himself. I got Jan by decision or late TKO.
Yeah, good insight, man. And also one thing to point out that I kind of did think about, you know, while thinking about this matchup and the breakdown is that Jan, a lot of the guys he lost to apart from O'Malley were grapplers like Aljo, like Merab. He had to worry about the takedowns. In this fight, he's got to worry about the power, but not so much the wrestling. He
Yeah,
does
you
good
know,
against
Song can
strikers.
wrestle, but he's
Yeah,
not he's not Marab, you know.
yeah.
Like he's not Marab.
He's more of a
You know,
committed
I,
striker.
I
So,
feel like when people think about Jan's losses, they don't realize he lost to Marab, an absolute machine. You
yep,
know, like it's not
exactly.
like he lost to a mediocre fighter. He lost to a guy who's most likely going to fight for a title in his next fight.
Yep. And Yadong, I
And you
mean,
could, and even with his loss to O'Malley and Aljo, you know, those are close fights. You know,
mhm,
people, you go on the UFC's page, you look at that O'Malley win, all you see robbery, robbery, robbery. So don't
exactly.
forget, people forget what happens in these fights. Go back and watch them and think for yourself. Don't let other people dictate what you think.
Yeah, and then another thing too, like against mid-level fighters, I mean, Song is just kind of inconsistent with his performances. Sometimes he goes out there, looks like a world beater. Other times he kind of chokes, doesn't look that good. I was disappointed in him when he fought Cody Stamann, even though it was a long time ago. He lost to Kyler Phillips, almost lost to Casey Kenny. Didn't look that great against Gutierrez, but I guess we'll see which version of each fighter shows up. I'm looking forward to it. I'm praying to the MMA gods that Petr Yan can get back in this win column. But now on to the next fight. We got Gilbert Durino Burns versus Jack Della Madelena. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm going to start with this one. I think JDM is going to win this fight against Gilbert Burns. I want Burns to win. But yeah, I just think the stand up, the boxing of JDM is too slick. He's got tremendous power in his hands. And Gilbert Burns, his striking isn't bad, but it's very basic, very easy to read, and he throws a lot of just hooks and overhands, which are easy to counter, and he lacks the defense, especially against jabs, which I think JDM is going to exploit that. And I think we're going to see a better version of Jack than what we saw when he fought Basil Hafez. Because you got to remember, in that Basil Hafez fight, he was preparing for two different guys. He was preparing for Sean Brady, then some random debutant who pulled out against him like last minute and got cut. So he cut weight literally twice. So that wasn't the best version of JDM. And then he fought Holland again, maybe not his best performance, but Holland is just kind of a weird fighter to deal with because he's got a good chin. He's very tough, very good striker. That's why it was as close as it was. But with Burns, a guy who's kind of short, stocky, a different body type than JDM, I think he'll have an easier time. I think Burns, his path to victory to win this fight, he has to grapple Jack Della Madelena to a decision. Because in the stand up, I think he gets pieced up. So I'm gonna go with a JDM. A lot of people are going JDM by knockout, which I could see, but something tells me JDM will win by decision. Like, this will be one of the fights where, those fights where there's a chinny fighter who's expected to get knocked out, but they make it to a decision, like Luke, like Cody, like Chandler, where they survived fights they arguably shouldn't have. I kind of feel like it's that kind of fight, but JDM just gets it done through winning all the exchanges and defending takedowns when he needs to. And I just think this fight will be the changing of the guard. Burns is older, coming off an injury. So, yeah, JDM is my pick. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I got JDM by decision, but I could also see him chinning Burns. Burns is kind of chinny. But I also think Burns is underrated.
Yep.
He went toe to toe with Hamzat.
Yep.
People forget that. So he's definitely a tough fighter. So it's hard for me to see, him getting finished, but I could definitely see him getting chin though. So I could see it either way. I could see him fighting his way to a decision, but I think Jack's just a more slick boxer. I think he's gonna have his way. If they get close and start, going toe to toe, I think Jack's gonna win the exchanges. I just think he's a more slick boxer. I honestly think Burns should try and wrestle Jack. I think Burns should try and wrestle Jack.
Yep. The way Basil Hafez did, that's the exact approach he has to take. He needs to, because if he doesn't, or if he can't, yeah, Jack's winning the fight.
Definitely. So I got Jack decision. I think he's gonna outbox him, touch him up a bit. Um, Burns is good though, so I
Yep.
could see Burns is tough, man. Burns is
He
just straight up
is.
tough.
Yep. All right. Now, who do you have winning between Kevin Holland and Michael Venom Page?
This is an exciting fight. I think both guys are gonna be dancing around the ring, shuffling. If you watch these guys, it's what they do. But I got MVP by decision. I think we're gonna see a fun fight, but I also think these guys are gonna be patient. I think MVP is gonna be more patient. Holland's style is wild, so he might throw some crazy kicks, and I also think MVP is gonna be throwing some crazy kicks. So it's gonna be a fun fight, but I think it's gonna be a matter of whoever's smarter in this fight. They're both good. I'm excited for MVP's debut though. Should have happened a while ago though.
Oh yeah, totally. I
A
agree.
long time ago. They waited a long time to sign him. He's
Yeah,
older now.
yeah, that's true. But I think personally, like, this is kind of the perfect matchup for MVP to start his UFC career late into his career as well, because Kevin Holland, two things about him that makes him favorable for Michael is Holland is a good and exciting fighter, but he's not one of like the elites of the division. He's not like a huge step up to where it's like, oh man, I don't know if MVP can beat him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
MVP, like you don't look at MVP and say, "Oh, that guy's gonna come in here and destroy these guys and win a title."
yeah,
Like I feel like MVP's like kind of like your typical sort of hype job. He came from Bellator. Everyone was hyping his name up, so we'll see what he does.
yeah. But I just think again, like Holland, he's not that big of a step up. And the second thing is he's not a grappler. He's a striker who can grapple, but he likes to strike. He can go for takedowns, he does sometimes, but he primarily is a stand and bang
He's
fighter.
like a flashy fighter. The
Yeah,
thing is, these guys mirror. They're a mirror of each other. These guys are
yeah,
flashy. They both throw wild strikes. But I feel like MVP, he hasn't faced anyone on like Kevin Holland's level. Like he's been
yeah,
fighting guys like in Bellator, and now he's coming over here. So he's gonna have to show everyone that he still has it and he could fight.
yeah. But I'm gonna pick Michael Page to win this fight simply because it's striker versus striker, and in just a stand-up battle against someone like MVP, like just beating him in a striking match, I mean, it would take the right kind of fighter to do it, like maybe a Wonder Boy kind of fighter. But you put someone like Kevin Holland in there against him in a striking match, I think that favors Michael Venom Page. He's just way slicker in the stand-up, better footwork, better defense, good counter-punching ability. Kevin Holland is very open when he throws and he commits on the offense. So I think he'll be there for a lot of the traps that MVP is going to look to set up on him. And I think he's going to suffer similar fate that he did against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. And I'm going to take Michael Page to win this fight by a unanimous decision, but Holland could knock him out because MVP fights with his hands low. So it's not at all a safe fight for Michael Venom Page just because Holland doesn't grapple. But if Kevin doesn't knock him out, I don't see him winning the fight. So yeah, but you have MVP, right? Or are you going with Holland?
Oh no, I said MVP by
Okay,
decision.
all right, yeah. So I guess we both agree Michael Page will win this fight. He'll have a successful UFC debut, and I hope they book him against Stephen Thompson next.
Yeah, I think he'll have a successful debut. I just think it's going to be like a wild fight.
Chandler.
You know, like
Yeah.
these guys are going to be throwing spinning back kicks, question mark kicks. You know, just it's going to be a fun fight.
Yep. And then the co-main event, we got Dustin the Diamond Poirier versus Benoit Saint Denis. Who do you think's gonna win that one?
I got BSD by submission round 2.
Interesting.
BSD's, you know, he was in the special forces. I think Dustin Poirier does have more MMA experience than him. So experience is on Poirier's side. He's a vet to the game. But man, BSD is young. He's hungry. He finishes guys. I think this is a nightmare matchup for Dustin Poirier. Poirier gets his, I think, exactly going to be like the Oliveira fight. He's going to turn around, he's going to get his back taken, and he's going to get subbed rear naked choke. And he's going to tap out.
Wow. I mean, that's an interesting take. I mean, I could definitely see Benoit Saint Denis beating Dustin Poirier. And what does worry me is the Justin Gaethje effect. Everyone who
Yup, that Justin Gaethje effect. You can't escape it.
exactly everyone who he finishes, they don't bounce back.
Dustin will never win a fight in his career again, though.
I mean, but again, I know
Think
Chandler
about
gets a
that. Think
finish.
about that for a second.
I know
Dustin
Chandler didn't
Poirier
get
will
finished, but he
never win
bounced
another
back.
fight. You'll never watch Poirier win another fight in his career if the Gaethje effect is actually real.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
He might retire.
yeah, he could. He could retire. Uh I don't know. We see in a lot of cases these like lightweight veterans who are coming off losses where people expect the up and comer to beat them. Never happens. Like Gaethje turned back Fiziev coming off a loss. Oliveira turned back Beneil coming off a loss as an underdog. So
I feel the Fiziev fight, though, that was a close fight. Fiziev arguably won the first two, and they had a draw. One of the judges had it a draw. I think they had Fiziev the first two and Gaethje 10-8 last. So, but I'm interested to see how Poirier is going to bounce back from that loss.
yeah, okay. You know what?
I don't think he's going to retire, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dustin to win this fight. Because I know again, there's a thing called the Gaethje effect, but I just think Dustin is a different breed. He's different from the other guys that Justin Gaethje finished. You know what I mean? I think if anyone can bounce back from a loss to Gaethje, it's him. And I mean, this is not a safe fight to come back to, but I think Dustin Poirier's experience is going to be a factor, and not just his experience having more fights or being in the UFC longer, although that is a factor. He's been in more high-profile fights against really dangerous guys like Dan Hooker, Gaethje twice, Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway, Conor McGregor. He's been in so many wars, which could be a bad thing for him, but at the same time, it's good in the sense that he knows how to deal with adversity. Damage, getting hurt, getting taken down, it's nothing that he hasn't dealt with before. And we see Dustin, he knows how to recover, regroup, and he kind of bounces back from losing rounds, and then he's able to get a finish. So I don't know. I mean, Benoit could get him out of there, but I feel like in the striking, I think it will favor Dustin. I think he's the cleaner boxer with better defense. Benoit is tough, but very hittable. And you don't want an accurate, powerful boxer like Dustin to tee off on you, because those shots, they will add up, and also it's Southpaw versus Southpaw too, I think. So I think that's going to take away the kicks of Benoit Saint Denis. So I'm going to go with a Dustin Poirier stoppage, round 3. Benoit will look good. He will have his moments. But I think Dustin Poirier is just going to show that he's just going to show like that experience, that veteran experience, and he's still going to solidify himself as the top, one of the top best lightweights in the world. But hey, you could be right. You could be onto something. I would not be shocked if Benoit Saint Denis does beat Dustin. I think it's very interesting. You think it could be like the Oliveira fight. That could happen. But I'm not ready to count out Dustin yet. I always pick Dustin Poirier apart from when he fought Khabib and McGregor the second time. But I'm picking him again, and let's see what happens. All right. Now, the main event of the evening, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera. These two, they fought 4 years ago. We saw how the first fight went. Vera was the winner of the first fight because he took out O'Malley's leg, his perennial nerve. And then O'Malley, when he got aggressive, he tried to put weight on his front leg, fell down, and got knocked out on the ground with elbows. But now 4 years later, full circle, they meet again. And now O'Malley's the champion. Vera's a title challenger. I thought these two would be running it back a long time ago, but here they are. Very excited for this one. I'm going to hand it over to you again, Boers. Who do you think will win this rematch?
This is gonna be a very entertaining match. Both guys are elite. But I got O'Malley finding Vera's chin. I think he'll be the one to do it. He was the one to take Aljo's reign away, and I think he's gonna be the one to take Marlon's chin away. So I think he's gonna head kick. I think that kick is gonna. I think it's gonna be like people talked about Usman. They said for many years no one finished him, and then
Yep.
Leon flatlined him cold.
Yep.
So I feel like
Same
this
with
is going to be a
Dustin.
similar case where everyone's saying, "Oh, no way, Marlon gets finished," and then O'Malley just goes out there and knocks his lights out with that kick.
Yeah, I mean, that would be crazy. And even in the press conference, he responded to the question when the guy asked him like, "Oh, Chito said his game plan is to attack your legs. What's your response?" And he said, "Oh, well, I'm gonna kick his lips. We'll see how he
Yeah,
reacts when I
I
my
love
leg
that.
hits his face."
People say O'Malley's bad on the mic. They're just haters. O'Malley's one of the best on the mic. You
Yeah,
know,
people just love to hate on Sean O'Malley. It's
Pe-
annoying.
I feel though, if O'Malley gets this win and he does win by a big knockout, a lot of people are gonna bandwagon and become his fan because we see that a lot. We've seen it with Leon. This guy had zero fans. The guy's from Jamaica.
Yep.
Who from Jamaica watches the UFC? Nobody. This guy had no fans. Nobody knew who this guy was. And he knocks out Kamaru Usman, and now he has 10 million fans. So we see it all the time. Um, fighters win and then they gain tons of fans. So I think there's going to be a similar case here. O'Malley already has a huge following, a huge fan base. These people can say whatever. This guy is a superstar. He pulled 500,000 pay-per-view buys in his first title fight. So to say he's not a superstar is hideous.
Oh, he's definitely a superstar, and yeah,
But the thing is,
on
people are saying he's not. They're saying he's a fraud. He's not a superstar. This you seen the I showed you the post by that guy who said he's terrible on the mic. I mean, what is this? What world are these people living in?
Yeah, but people love him or hate him. They're always going to tune in to watch his fights. And yeah, I may have to agree with you on this one. I'm going to go with Sean O'Malley to win the rematch. I mean, I picked him to win the first fight against Chito, and I was very frustrated with how it turned out because I felt like, man, I know Vera won fair and square, but it just felt like they had unfinished business. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. Because when it's an injury, if a fight ends in an injury and it's a TKO, like what was it, Yair and Ortega? Look at that, and then they rematched.
and we saw it happen in the rematch.
And we
Exactly.
saw what happened in the rematch. People after Ortega got injured, people are like, "Oh, Yair would have cooked him in that fight, this and that." And then we see how the tables turn. And
Yep.
has it really been 4 years?
Yeah, 2020 was their first fight.
What 20? Yeah, you're right. 2020. Shit.
Yeah, I've been calling for them to run it back since 2020, 2021.
Yeah, yeah, I know. You've always been calling for it for a long time, even
Yeah,
before O'Malley became champ.
yep. I remember after Vera knocked out Cruz, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think I was like, oh, they should book him versus O'Malley next.
That
Um,
knockout was nice.
Yeah, but now here they are. I mean, O'Malley beat Jan. He's the champ now because he beat Sterling. But yeah, I'm gonna go with O'Malley to win this fight. I'm gonna go with a decision because, like I said about that first fight, yes, he got injured, he got beaten. But if that doesn't happen, how does the fight go? How else
Yeah,
is
that's
Vera
what
gonna beat Jan?
everyone wants to see.
Yeah, how else is he gonna beat O'Malley? Does he go out there and just outstrike Sean O'Malley? I don't think so. I think O'Malley's a sharper striker. I think he's got better boxing. He's slicker with his hands, more accurate with his punching, way better striking defense, better distance management. And in that first fight, he actually had a lot of leg kicking success, more than what I could remember. So I think in this fight, he's going to go back to the low kicks. I see him also mixing in some body kicks, using the teep kicks to keep Vera at bay, to keep him from getting in close and just outpoint Marlon Vera. And also, Marlon Vera doesn't really grapple offensively, which I think he should. I mean, it's possible maybe he catches O'Malley on the feet, but O'Malley is not Dominic Cruz. He's not Rob Font. He's not Frankie Edgar. I think he's just too smart of a striker to make those mistakes that, past Vera victims have made. So Vera's going to have a very hard time finding O'Malley, finding that chin. And I just think a striking match is going to favor O'Malley. He doesn't have to worry about the takedowns. He just has to watch the kicks primarily. Watch out for the power of Vera. But yeah, I just see him piecing up Chito Vera in this fight. And Vera gets hit a lot too. Like, people talk about his defense, but he was getting hit a lot by Rob Font until he still
Yeah, dude,
rounded.
Font landed more significant strikes than him.
Yeah, he was getting hit a lot by Cruz, and I think a guy like O'Malley can
O'Malley's just
capitalize.
gonna have fun.
Yeah, he's going to
When
capitalize off.
O'Malley starts to hit people, that's when he starts to turn it up and turn it up and turn it up.
Yeah, and I just think that, he's going to be able to do what Font was doing, but
Yeah,
because
Cruz was winning.
yeah, because O'Malley actually has a pretty good chin and he's very smart defensively, I don't think he's going to get caught. If he does get caught, I think he can take it, reset, and stay in the fight and keep going and just keep doing what he's doing. I think he's
Yeah,
gonna,
O'Malley really just, I feel also, sorry to interrupt, but I feel O'Malley just has to avoid getting hit. If he can
yeah,
just avoid getting hit with the big kicks, because Marlon could kick like a motherfucker, because they're
yep,
just as much as O'Malley could knock Cheeto out, Cheeto could knock O'Malley out. Because
yep,
these guys kick hard, they punch hard. You seen O'Malley when he knocked out Sterling, that was a hard punch. It
hmm
wasn't just like, oh, Sterling's got, no, that was a clean, hard punch.
yeah. Yeah, and like you said, he could find the chin of Marlon Vera. Marlon's got an insane chin, but usually he gets hit like around this part of his head. I've
The
never seen
thing
him get hit
is it
here
doesn't
on this
matter
side.
how good of a chin you have. If you get kicked in the chin like clean, as hard as a fighter could, like Leon did to Usman, it doesn't matter how good your chin is, you're going out.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna go with O'Malley. I'm gonna go with the decision win. He knows what he has to do to win this fight. He's gonna pace himself intelligently. He's not gonna give Marlon, that advantage of punching himself out early, then getting tired so that Marlon could come back late in the fight. He's gonna fight at an intelligent pace. Just be the faster, sharper striker throughout 5 rounds. Stick and move, hit, not get hit, and just win by a decision. I'm going to say 49-46 or 48-47. And still, I just think there's too much at stake for Sean O'Malley to blow this one. He knows he has to win because that would be
If
bad for
O'Malley
his
wins,
legacy.
it sets up a super fight.
Yeah, with
Him
Ilya
versus
Topuria.
Ilya. My prediction is if Sean wins this, the UFC may capitalize because you have to realize we're not in a day. People always want to say, "Oh, these fighters need to defend their belt 7 times before moving up." I think that's baloney. If these guys are superstars, they're the highest of their level, and people are arguing that they're best in their division. Why can't these two guys fight for? a double championship. I don't see the problem. This guy Ilya, he just knocked out Volkanovski, who defended his belt how many times, beat how many great fighters? And you
Yep,
don't want these guys, these two superstars. It's not like one is a superstar and one's not. No, they're both superstars. So
exactly. So that would be a big
why
fight.
don't you make that fight in Spain? Grab a million pay-per-view buys and put it on. Fuck what the fans say.
Yeah, but I think what should happen is I think so. If O'Malley wins this, if he fights Merab next, I think Poirier should get one defense and then you make that fight.
But
I think that'd be
the
fair.
thing is, the UFC doesn't want to risk Sean losing his belt to Merab because Ilya and Merab, they're buddies. They're never gonna fight each other for a double champ.
Nope.
So why don't you make Sean versus Ilya a double championship? That's gonna grab a million. You got two young superstars.
Yep. Exactly. But yeah, I'm really looking.
They want him to defend the title, and I understand that. But when you have an opportunity, you take it. This is a business. The UFC is competing with other organizations as well, like Bellator and PFL. Well, they're together, but all these different organizations, and if they want to put on the biggest fight that will attract the most fans, that's what they're gonna do. They're not gonna say, "Oh, well, because he has this many title defenses, we can't do this." That's not how the UFC works. People think that's how they work. That's not how they work. If they worked like that, they would have made Conor McGregor defend his belt. Did they?
Yeah, good point.
Did they? No.
Nope. Yeah, it's a business and it's about what makes the most money, what attracts the most fans. So at the end of the day,
A
the
lot of people,
UFC will do what makes them the most money.
yeah, and a lot of people don't like the Ilya O'Malley fight, but people have to realize it's a business and they're going to do what's best for the business and what makes them the most money.
Yep, facts.
Whether people like it or not, regardless of the title defenses.
Yep. But now I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm really looking forward to this weekend's card. I enjoyed going over these fights with you. So it looks like we both agree on the main event that O'Malley gets the job done. Any Boris, any like shout outs or plugs you want to make before we wrap this up?
Shout out my man Slick Striking. Shout out
Yes,
Slick Striking on Instagram.
some of the best striking edits for sure. And be sure to follow this guy on Instagram at Boars World Inc. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Boris
be sure to
Rodink.
follow him on his Instagram. You know, he's a good guy. He's got some good content too. So yeah. With that being said, like and subscribe. Let me know your picks in the comment section down below. And thank you for
Thanks
watching.
for having me, Carter.
Yes, for sure.